Manchester United are closing in on their first signing of the season with a £40 million move for the Ajax and Brazilian forward sensation Antony. These are the reports circulating this morning that the deal is close, the deal is imminent, and he could be Erik Ten Hag's first Manchester United signing. We're also going to take a look at the deal for the right back from Hoffenheim, David Raum. Will it advance? Will Manchester United pull themselves away? We're taking your calls. We want your thoughts. We want your feelings. Get your comments in now. A big thank you to everyone that's been leaving the thank yous and donating to the Football Terrace as well. We could not do what we do without you. It's the Done Deal Show morning edition. Let's go, people. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. It is reported this morning that Manchester United are on the brink and are close to securing their first summer signing for Erik Ten Hag. Many people expected that to be Frenkie de Jong. It was reported a lot over the past few days by some prominent journalists that de Jong is the priority and they will sign him first. And we understand the need and the nature for that. But of course, what I've been saying, and not because I'm in the know, not because I have any inside information, just because it's based on what you read and hear, talking to the Dean Joneses and the Ben Jacobs and the Rob Blanchetts, Man United have been working upon multiple deals at the same time. Now, what has been reported here and is that Manchester United are close to signing Antony for £40 million. Now, this is a player that United's attention has really switched to after they were unable to land Darwin Núñez. And that was what was reported 2.5 weeks ago, that as soon as they missed out on that number 9, it would be a different area of the attack that the club would prioritize. Now, Antony is another player that, of course, knows the Ten Hag system, knows Ten Hag's ways, knows his mannerisms, is from Ajax. Some people are skeptical about dipping into the pond, but it appears to be something that Erik Ten Hag is very happy with looking to do. Now, in relation to the story in itself, there's multiple outlets running with this story as it stands right now. What is being claimed is that Manchester United will send officials to Amsterdam today to finalize the details of this transfer. Now, I know a lot of Manchester United fans are feeling etchy. It's been 12 years since we've got an entire June without signing a player in a transfer window. So I know a lot of United fans want to see this done. I know a lot of Manchester United fans want to see a deal be completed. Frenkie de Jong is still the number one priority signing, but as we've seen in many, many windows for multiple clubs, you don't necessarily sign your number one target first. Man United are progressing nicely with Frenkie de Jong. Personal terms are agreed or are no problem, according to most of the leading Dutch journalists and a lot of reports coming out of Barcelona. The British press haven't kind of gone with that, barring Tom McDermott as of now. But Antony is a player that's been on the list of the new regime in Erik Ten Hag. It appears this deal is imminent and could be happening very, very soon. That is, of course, according to the reports. But I want to get your thoughts and I want to get your feelings on this live this morning on the Football Terrace. Do me a favor and smash that like button. KG, the comedian here. Morning, man like Terry. Hope you're doing well. Nice to speak to you again, my guy. I know we ain't spoken in a while. A little chat a little while back about the boxing channel. See you're doing bits as well. I was watching your show the other day on Sky. Big up yourself, doing big things, and well done on the 100k subs. The United View. Could we finally solve the right-hand side issue? And KG, it's a great point you're raising there, my friend. That right-hand side of the attack, Jadon Sancho is meant to solve it, but he's moved out to that left-hand side. Rashford's been put in that position. Martial's been played there. No one's been able to cut it. No one's been able to perform. We've had individuals that have done very well on the left-hand side. As Jadon Sancho started to perform better last season, it was on that left-hand side. The right has been a problem. I know Antonio Valencia and Nani had a few good seasons, but I'm being honest with you, We still haven't replaced Cristiano Ronaldo. And that's one of the biggest bugbears I think Man United fans have got with the way we've operated in the last 10 or so years. We haven't replaced Gary Neville. We haven't replaced Rio Ferdinand. Varane might end up being that person in the end. Patrice Evra's not been replaced. Carrick hasn't been replaced. Scholes, like we haven't had any. Think about all our stars that used to lead us through seasons. No one's really been replaced. It's crazy when you think about it, but big up and thanks for watching, my guy. Hope you're good, my friend. Neek Sports in the house this morning. The Aussie Gooners here. He says, is this a move for depth of the bench? I don't believe so. Like as a United fan, looking at this, as KG just pointed out, Manchester United have got an issue on that right-hand side. Antony is somebody that he's fairly well regarded. 22 years of age. He comes in at that really nice age profile for me. You know, whoever he ends up going to, he's got experience as a player. So he isn't kind of the difference between bringing age isn't that important. Whether you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, if you've only had a handful of games, you've got that inexperience. But he's played, I think, 130 odd games in his career. He's now made 9 appearances in the last few years for Brazil. So he's growing as an individual. The goals are starting to come, 10 in the 2021 season. 12 goals in 2022. So there are goals in this player as well. And at 22, of course, there is a lot of room and capacity for that to expand and go to another level. Very few players, 22 years and younger, are scoring 20 plus goals. So I think for me, it will improve the squad depth, but I do believe this is a player that United are trying to sign to improve the first team. I think most of the players, if you look at United, are trying to sign, barring the young lad from Derby, the majority of players we're looking at, you kind of think they are first teamers or they'll be used in the main 13, 14 players over the course of the season. Let's have a little look here. I never jinx nothing, Neeks. What is Sharek saying it's done? Is Sharek out here ruining their dreams? Antony deal isn't close. They can't do multiple transfers. Yeah, it says this. Of course, this is the thing that's really pushed out by Man United fans. Man United fans, especially, we can't do multiple deals. We can't work on 2 deals at once. That's an impossibility. I think sometimes clarity isn't always given by journalists. And Ben Jacobs said this last week, and it was brilliant to hear. And it was, clubs always work on multiple deals at once. It's just a case of the reason they may delay the signing of a new right back is because they're not sure of the price yet of the midfielder and the striker that are the number 1 and number 2 priority signings. And if they buy the right back, they may end up not having enough budget left for the other 2 players, so they hold back. Equally, they might be working, all clubs work on multiple deals. And it could be a case of, well, look, we're going to sign Antony if we don't sign a number 9. They might get a deal done with the club, personal terms agreed with Antony, but still be working on that number 9 signing. But they hold back from doing that deal. So that's kind of how it works. Like the notion that our director of football will spend 9 hours a day working on one deal, it's nonsensical, legitimately nonsensical, makes no sense in any kind of capacity. Molly here says, Terry, new to your channel, really enjoy it. Love the banter with the Gooner fans. Any talk of a potential David Raum transfer as well? Yes, we're speaking about that this morning before we take your calls as well. So as you saw yesterday, Man United have expressed an interest in signing David Raum. United have checked his availability. They are yet to make an official bid. Now, I reached out to a few journalists about this just to try and get their take, their understanding, what they think and feel is happening. And what they've essentially said is Man United have a strong interest. Man United have done a lot of work now with the player around understanding the appetite. They've delved into advanced talks, what I call advanced talks with a player, where you're getting into intricate detail. Now, David Raum is up for joining. However, Man United are tentative. Man United are a little bit worried because, again, PR prevails. Why does PR prevail? Because of comments that I just put up on the screen, like, we're not signing Antony because we can't work on multiple transfers. Clubs care about their perception. Borussia Dortmund are also very, very interested in him. Now, the fact that Borussia Dortmund are interested in him, they're about to sign Sebastian Haller as well. United don't want to go in too deep for the player to say, I want to stay in Germany, which is, according to the journalists I've spoken to, maybe a priority for him. They're doing their research into it. So it feels like Man United are at a bit of a crossroads with this. What I also find interesting about the David Raum links is that United have looked at, of course, Lisandro Martinez. They were looking at Uri Tillemans. Not Uri Tillemans. Uri Timber. Sorry, my mistake. Both of those guys can play centre-back, but they can play full-back as well. United clearly want some cover in some multiple positions. So I think you've also got to look at the situation that if United were able to beat Arsenal to Lisandro Martinez, if we go for that official bid, if Timber was to turn around and change his mind, you might find that we pull away from David Raum. So that's almost my point around working on multiple deals is you have a number of Stokes in the fire and you wait to see which kind of pieces fall into place. So yes, look, Man United are in for him. Man United want him. Man United are very keen to try and get a deal done, but they are working on multiple deals. So it becomes a very difficult situation to kind of weigh up. I thought we had given up on Antony. Feels good. I have hopes. I don't know where you got the report. I look at it this way. When I read an article saying United have been rejected or Arsenal have pulled out of a certain deal, Charles Watts has kind of alluded to Arsenal have called their interest on Uri Tillemans. He said it and he's credible. But if it's one person reporting it and no one else is really going, we saw in the last 24 hours, I've seen Spurs have pulled away from Christian Eriksen, from Hurst and Alistair Gold. But then I've seen from Jamie Jackson, who's also credible, that he prefers a move to Tottenham. But maybe that's because Jamie Jackson's news is old and that isn't a dig at Jamie Jackson. Maybe the person he's spoken to hasn't been updated. This is how it all works. So I never take anything as 100% going to happen in any direction, positive or negative. It's what I love and enjoy about the transfer window. I find it fun. I find it exciting and I love dealing with it. Terry, all these United deals are close, but never seem to get any over the line. The problem is they have fallen down the pecking order. Other teams have caught up. Andrew, you make a really great point here that United fans need to be aware of. Some of these deals are close, but have not been executed by Manchester United. Why? Because they have to make sure the budget is there. They have to make sure they sell people. That's how transfers work. It's okay. We've got that one where we want it, but we can't execute until we get people to move on. We want to make sure we get Frenkie in first. If we start spending bigger money, think about this. If we drop 40 million today, 50 million tomorrow on two different players, what do you think Barca are going to do in the De Jong situations? United are trying to do this thing publicly where we're kind of acting a little bit broke, which I love, by the way. It's the best way to do things. Trust me. Like, if you ever win the national lottery or the lotto, whatever, Euro Millions, don't tell anyone because you will get begging letter from people that pretend to be your friends. Oh, please help me. I'm in trouble. If they think you ain't got any money, they're nice to you. They leave you alone. So don't ever let anyone know you got any money. Help them out. Be nice. But honestly, don't. It's a bit hard that if you live a life like Conor McGregor or something, do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Out there, but I watched a podcast with Floyd Mayweather the other day and he phoned his pilot in the middle of this podcast and just showed how easy it is for him to book his private flights and how it works. And he just sends pilots all around America and the world picking up his friends and stuff. I'm like, what a life. He probably can't hide it. But anyway, but you're also right. People have caught Man United up. So some players may agree. This is normal on what happens. Fans hate this because they all want to feel special, like players only love their clubs. But what also happens a lot is you might get a player, I agree to those terms with Man United, i.e. Christian Eriksen. But he's also waiting to see if Spurs do make that official offer. If Man United were still challenging for Prems, winning Champions Leagues, he wouldn't be waiting for Tottenham, in my opinion. He'd just say yes to Manchester United. How do we fix that? Partly through how we negotiate and behave, but mainly that's fixed by Manchester United winning things again. Fans having patience, the club having patience, and building something of quality. It's the only way to actually go out there and fix it. That's my opinion. Let's have a little look here. Yeah, maybe Conte wasn't eager to take Eriksen back. This is true. There's all these things in there. All these things can be true. I mean, these things can all kind of be true at the same time as well. Eriksen's waiting, but the manager don't want him. You know, I think these things are all very, very plausible indeed. But I want to get your takes on this. I want to get your thoughts and your feelings. I'm going to share the link in the live comment section now for you to phone in, have your say, give us a little buzz. Want have a little bit of a push and a pull. I love that phrase. You ever seen that, Carl Froch and George Groves? Anyone can have a bit of a push and a pull. Big up yourselves. Let me know where you are watching from this morning, people, as well. You know, I like to know where people are watching from around the world. Good morning to you, H7. Hope you're good, my friend. Eriksen didn't want to go back to his ex. He's moved on, is what VK has got to say here. Yeah, I don't know if he's necessarily moved on yet. We will wait and see. Terry, any more talk about United's outgoings, Martial, Henderson, and AWB? The last I read about AWB, two things I've read about AWB. The first was that Man United have told him he can find a new club. So his agent can go out and actively look for another club. The player can talk to people. They're not going to get angry about it. Roma have said to be interested, but there's been no concrete approach. Henderson looks fairly close to joining Nottingham Forest. The last time I read, I haven't gone through the details, to be honest. I don't really look at the fringe player exits as something as a major focus here on the terrace, but I've kind of read those stories and rumors. Martial, nothing. I mean, Martial's got very few. Right now, there's been very few clubs that have shown any interest at all in Antony Martial. Almost none. But I think Manchester United have also got to be careful with Antony Martial, because if you let him go before, if Antony comes in, expect to see Martial leave. But what we can't do is let Martial go, send Ahmad out on loan, you know, decide Pedri's not good, Palestri's not good enough, and then sign no one. Like, we then sign nobody in that area. We leave ourselves very, very short. So again, sometimes you want to, if you're weak in a particular area, you're going to want to buy first. If you're stacked in a particular area with poor quality, you've got to sell first. You know, the balance has got to be right, and not every in and out is a binary, linear, simplistic process, in my opinion. Love the show. Good morning from a Liverpool fan, Tahar Hassan. Hope you're all right, my friend. The only team that will buy Antony Martial right now is us, is what David's got to say. But I think Ten Hag could revive Martial. He's his type of player. Of course, there's the opportunity for him to be revived. Of course, there's the opportunity for him to turn it around. I think that there's lots of players in this Man United squad that might end up fancying it. He might spend 2 weeks in training and go, oh, it's a new feeling. I feel different. I feel good. I fancy staying around. Like, all of these things are highly plausible. All of these things could legitimately happen. So, yeah, of course, that's an absolute option that could transcend and present itself, no doubt whatsoever. Too much wages for Martial. Of course, that is also a problem. 250k a week. It's a lot of money for clubs to come up with. Hell of a lot of money for clubs to come up with. Could not agree with you more there. Just to let you know, later on today, Straight Facts this afternoon around 4:30. Jess and Ice, because Ben Jacobs is coming on tomorrow, so we've switched those shows around again this week. We will be having some Arsenal updates today. We'll be having some Chelsea updates today. Also on the Football Terrace, a bit of a roundup of what Manchester City are doing as well. So we're starting off with United this morning, and it will move on to other clubs unless there's big breaking news throughout the course of the day. Tielemans updates coming later, amongst others. So make sure you stay with the Football Terrace. Make sure that like button is being smashed this morning as well. Watching from, how do you pronounce that? Is that Manila in the Philippines? Lots of beautiful things here. I'm really enjoying the vacation. Big up yourself over there in the Philippines. Arsenal deals need to be done deals today, is what H7 has got to say. Well, we'll see. I mean, there have been some loose reports that Arsenal might pull out of the Tielemans deal. And we said this the other day. I mean, they briefed the press after signing Vieira to say, no, that isn't happening. Now the reports are saying maybe they will. That will change how Arsenal fans view this window. You know, if they end up pulling out a Tielemans, don't sign Gabriel Jesus, it changes how Arsenal fans feel. But we'll definitely delve into that later on today, my friend, for you. Not a problem. First caller of the day is going to be Lord Nelson on the show with us now. What are you saying, my friend?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm very, very well. What's your take on this news this morning that Manchester United are on the edge of signing for £40 million, Antony from Ajax. What's your take, my friend?
Yeah, I hope it's a good signing. But at the end of the day, what we need to do is we need to get a team that's playing together. So what I noticed for the past few years, actually Manchester United, we can pass the ball to each other. Like we can make four straight passes to each other, and you can be a team that if you don't have if you don't have like a teamwork, a team spirit, like a team that can pass the ball within each other. Like in the opposition half, we can even make 3 passes. In our half, maybe like 5 passes we could make because we can pass to De Gea or something like this. Hey, but like we need to increase the amount of passes we could make in the opposition half. That not even in the box, in their box, but just in their half. So that we should start with that first. And I think with the players we actually have, we could do that. Actually,
yeah. Look, I think that something that Man United fans screamed and cried about under Jose, hollered and moaned about under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and after about a month, 6 weeks, we're saying the same things in relation to Rangnick, is that we didn't have a conducive system. The coaching wasn't good enough, and players were regressing because of this. Ten Hag is renowned for being a sensational coach. Brilliant system. That in itself means that what we've got should therefore improve. All the reasons that people wanted Jose and Ole sacked have been addressed in Erik Ten Hag. Of course, the transfer window is important, but don't be surprised to see the players that are already at the club improve dramatically, because this is a squad that rivals said should be challenging for the Premier League last year.
exactly.
A lot said you'll challenge, but you won't win it because you need a top quality DM or better players in your midfield. That's why when we fell off last year, it was funny and banterous, but at the same time demonstrated a collapse internally, because because people would have shown you the clips or the tweets. Nobody predicted that we'd be that bad, which is why I find it strange that people are talking about us needing 10 new players not before we can win the league, but before we can even compete for the top 4 again. We were only a handful of points off the top 4 last year, and we had the worst season in Premier League history. So United will be a lot better, irrespective of the new signing. But with these new players, and the great thing about the 4 or 5 players we're looking at is they will come in and they won't have any of that legacy problems, that pressure from the past, and hopefully that transcends across the squad. That's what Ten Hag's hoping for here, I think.
Well, the thing is, when people are saying that it's going to improve players, it's not about improving the players. It's like you improve, like when you play like a team, when you play like a unit, you play better. It's just how it is in football. Like if you give a player, because football, if you isolate a particular player on the field, you won't be able to play nothing. You can't dribble the old opposition team. You can like do something crazy every minute of the game. You can only do it maybe once or twice in the game. So like we need a plan for the rest of the 95 minutes. You can do 5 minutes of crazy skill that is out of this world, but you still need to play the rest of the 85 minutes, right? Plus extra time, So we need a game plan for that. And I think the problem with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer actually was the fact that we did have a game plan for the rest of the minutes. And Rangnick, it didn't work out for him because the players they didn't just want to perform for him.
Absolutely, Lord Nelson.
Let's hope that it works with.
Could not agree with you more, my friend. Great chatting, and we'll speak again soon, brother. All the best, my friend. Thank you. And Lord Nelson is right. The players down tools at the end under Rangnick as well. They did. Rightly or wrongly, they did, and I don't think that will happen from the start of this season. The problem with big teams is they buy players by their reputations, i.e., goals scored. No one looks at a player based on if they would fit the system, I think is what you mean. Well, that's what poorly run clubs do. So you're right, but that isn't what the big clubs that are run well do. So City don't tend to do. Now, everybody will buy a flop. If you go through the history of the greatest teams in the world, you'll find transfers that were flops. So that happens. That's normal. That's not weird or crazy. Klopp buys for his system. He's at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Pep Guardiola buys for his system. City are now one of the biggest performing clubs in the world. This is Man United have been awful at this in the last 9 years. Chelsea have often let the Roman era often let Chelsea down by doing this. They'd throw in a player that wasn't needed or not required by a manager-free system, and things would go backwards. But not all clubs do it. Real Madrid have had a habit before. We're going to buy the bigger star rather than the player that maybe fits what we're doing best. So, look, I think it's key. The players Man United are linked to, on paper, you would say fit what Ten Hag is trying to do. What people tend not to do, though, when it comes to Erik Ten Hag, is read the stories around what he's trying to do. They just read the transfer stories, and then what people do is this. This is how I think Ten Hag's going to play. They then see the players that he's linked to and go, well, the system that Ten Hag's going to play, remember, that's what you think he's going to do, isn't going to work with these players. What people tend to not do is come outside their own mindset and go, well, let me read about what the informed people are saying Ten Hag is going to do, and then look at the players you're linked to and work out whether you think that will work or not. So when you look at the players and the style that is being reported Ten Hag wants to play, the players we're being linked to fit that. Your personal opinion on it then becomes irrelevant, because your opinion isn't based on what Ten Hag's trying to do. It's based on what you think he's going to do or what you want him to do. And those two things, I mean, that's not logic. It's not logic at all. There's no logic to it. The opinion, because it's one of those times where everyone's entitled to an opinion, yes, but not everyone's opinion is right, or holds any water or validity. And it's fine to say, I think he's doing the wrong thing by playing that system. I don't think that system will work. I think he should do this. But that isn't quite how people word it sometimes, and it's a little bit confusing. Cedric, morning, Terry. The coaches that Rangnick brought in did not have the proper coaching licenses. The players had more time off than they did under Ollie. Look, I understand. You've got to remember, a lot of the top coaches at that point were already busy. They were already at other clubs. A recap for everybody new tuning in this morning, coming up right now. Manchester United close to signing £40 million winger from Ajax, Antony. A number of reports circulating that United officials are due in Amsterdam today to get the deal done and dusted and over the line. Man United fans, of course, want their first summer signing secured. They want it completed. They want it finished. Could this be the day where this gets done and where Manchester United finally starts to move forward in the Champions League, in the Premier League and in the transfer window, trying, of course, strive to get back to Premier League football? I want your thoughts and I want your feelings. Make sure you're smashing that like and that share button as well. I'd love to know as well. And I'm going to create a poll right now for you as well. So stay with us while I put this poll in. I'm going to put in how many, let me write this again because I had cap locks on. How many players will Man United sign this summer? So I'm going to put little options in here. So we're going to write 1 to 2, 3 to 4, and then we'll do 4 to 6, and then 7 plus. I want to know how many players you think will sign. Now, this includes free transfers, loans, anything, right? How many players do you think Manchester United will sign this summer? I would like to know from you all on that one, my people. Cedric thinks 3 players are going to come in. Interesting. Terry, you're a breath of fresh air, mate. People keep banging on about how we can't improve with these players. We were second in the league, then signed Ronaldo and Varane. People need to give them more credit. Yeah, look, I don't believe in false league positions. I don't know how this fallacy was even created. There are no such thing as false league positions. Can better teams than you have bad seasons? Yes. That doesn't mean you're in a false position. If as an example being, Real Madrid weren't favourites to win the Champions League last year, but they did. Does that mean they're false European champions? No. When Leicester City won the league title, are they false league title winners? Are they false champions? No. Yes, there are teams that the season before and the season after for many years have been better than them. But in that particular season, they were the best team. So we were the second best team in the league that year. We still had loads of holes to improve on. We all thought we'd go to a next level. Even just based on notes. Remember the narrative last year. Do not allow this to be forgotten, because people will try and bury this when they're pushing out more negativity. So remember, most people can only thrive in negativity. As they say, plants basically grow in shit, don't they? This was the narrative last summer. Even though there's no system, with the extra quality we've brought in because of moments of brilliance, I think will be even better than last year, the year where United came second. Now, being better doesn't mean coming second, because if Liverpool improved, City improved, Chelsea improved, you might end up being fourth, but you as a team were meant to improve. Most of the players in and around the first team, starting 11, are still here. Now, you've got to replace Pogba, and you've got to replace Mason Greenwood, and then add on top of that. If you add on top of that, add a system, I just don't see how we're not going to be better. Are we going to be league title worthy year one? No, but nobody is suggesting that. So listen, it's not about being, look, rivals will call what I'm saying delusional. I'm not predicting Man United to finish in the top 4. I'm not right now. I'm not. Let's wait and see the wood for the trees. I'm not saying we're going to be sensational and amazing. I'm just simply stating it is not as bad as people are making out. Also, my belief is that the players down tools in the second half of the season. Rightly or wrongly, they stopped trying to win games. And in that stopping of trying, we threw away 15, 16, 17 points easy from sort of February to the end of the season. If those players gave their all in every single match, kept their heads high, if we'd have picked up an extra 12, 13 points, we'd be thinking differently about how we are right now. And there's a lot more quality in this squad than people are making out. I think they're just capping a little bit, if I'm being honest. We're going to get young Tommy on in a moment to have his say. 4 serious players is what Aussie Gooner thinks Manchester United will do. Evans here says Antony will destroy defenders. You have to consider that players like Martial and Bailly are staying. I think Bailly will leave, if I'm being absolutely honest. I think Bailly will go. Ten Hag is gonna get turned over when you lot play Nottingham Forest. Yeah, I mean, deals could happen. It could happen. Maybe it will. Maybe he will get beat by Nottingham Forest this year. Nottingham Forest, I think, will take a few scalps in the Prem. I think they will. Shafiq here says, in my opinion, I'm having a feeling that Man United are going in a new direction. They want to stop clubs and agents taking advantage, hiking up prices on transfers when Manchester United turns up. I think that's key. Wolves here thinks we're going to sign 3 to 4 and have 4 to 6 options. So 4 signings, both are on the poll. Yeah, I kind of hear where you're saying, hear where you're kind of coming from there. A lot of people think 3 to 4. 60% of the vote is saying 3 to 4. And I meant to put in 5 to 6, to be fair. That's my mistake. Typically, I agree. I kind of agree with where you're coming from there. We have a question that's coming in here that says, who is better, Rafinha or Antony? It's a really good question. And an answer that's very difficult for me because of my lack of knowledge on Antony. And I won't ever sit here like a lot of pretenders do on socials and act like I know all about a new player that Man United are linked to, a new player that we're going after, etc. I'm never going to do that because that's stupidity. It really is stupidity. It makes you look a fool. You always get caught out. Rafinha is a top talent, obviously 3 to 4 years older than Antony, highly skilled, creative, good level of goals, considering he plays for Leeds United, who were a relegation team last year. There's some real quality in there. But Antony is very highly touted, very highly regarded as a player. And of course, has broke himself into the Brazilian national team, which, you know, Brazil may not be the powerhouse that they were when I was growing up, but still the pressure and the scrutiny applied on you playing in that team is very, very high indeed. So right now, if I'm going to pick, I'm only going to say Rafinha based on what I know about him compared to Antony. I'm not going to pretend to have encyclopedic knowledge or any major knowledge at all on Antony because I've read about him. I've watched some clips. I've watched a few moments. But like 99.9% of the Premier League fans, you haven't really watched him play on a regular basis. How do I know that? Because I'd see you raving about him every week on your timelines, and that didn't happen. So there we go. Rafinha had a 60% pass completion comp, whilst Antony had over 80. Listen, you all know this. Rafinha actually loses the ball more per game than Bruno Fernandes. I haven't seen any Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Liverpool, Barcelona fans pick up on that stat since they've all been linked to him. Why? Because highly creative players, adventurous players, people trying to unlock defenses will invariably lose the ball at a higher rate than people less adventurous, more risk averse, who are maybe in a different part of the system where they're playing the more simplistic passes in the build up to the chances being created. So Rafinha's 60% pass completion rate isn't necessarily a reflection on him being bad. He also plays wide right and puts a lot of crosses into the box, which crosses are a separate stat, but they also get fed into your overall passing statistics. So if he crosses 8 crosses a game and he has a 20% succession rate, like that's going to lower his pass completion rate somewhat as well, especially in a team like Leeds who play on the counter attack and they're not really a passing team, meaning that he's going to be attempting potentially a lot less passes than counterparts. So if you throw those crosses in, a lack of passing because they're a counter attack team, it skews the figures somewhat. So yeah, I really wouldn't focus on it or worry about that statistic too much, in my opinion. I think quality-wise, the players may be there, but the mentality stinks. I don't think these players' mentality is good enough to be in the top 4. I think you're absolutely right that one of the biggest reasons that Man United didn't make it into the top 4, one of the biggest reasons that Man United struggled, one of the biggest reasons why Manchester United were behind was mentality last year, not squad quality. That's a big thing for Ten Hag to fix. It's why he wants them back. Listen, less than a week and a large part of the team are back for training. And it isn't just going to be about being fit. It's going to be about making these players believe in themselves. Because rivals don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. If particular players in this Man United team believe in themselves again, they'll be dangerous. Martial could be dangerous. Donny could be dangerous. Bruno could be dangerous. Rashford could be dangerous. We mentioned systems earlier. Fred, when he plays for Brazil, by all accounts, I mean, I've watched him twice, but every time he's playing for Brazil, that people are watching it, they're like, he looks so good. He plays so well. This is a different Fred to what we see at Man United. There's something in that. And I want to see it explored. I really do. David here says, morning tell. I've seen in the last 12 minutes of Antony on YouTube. I'm convinced. In all seriousness, he looks exciting and a brave player. And that's what United need. You know, statistically, I read that he's a very good crosser of the ball, as in they find their targets. I want someone on the right-hand side who's willing to have a go at players, get in behind, get crosses and pullbacks into the box. A type of goal Man United don't score enough of is pullbacks, where a player gets to the byline or into the box, cuts the ball back for tap-ins for Ronaldo, tap-ins for Rashford, tap-ins for Bruno. You need to add 10, 12, 15 goals a season like that. Man United might be lucky if we score. Again, this is memory, this isn't fact, but I feel like we might score 5 or 6 goals a season in that way. We need far more of them. Far more of them. You know, those tap-ins at the far posts. The amount of times Mane and Salah have scored those goals. The amount of times the likes of Aguero and Raheem Sterling under Pep Guardiola scored those kind of goals. Man United need far more of them now moving forward. We really, really do. Antony will be hyped until he puts on the United shirt. Well, I listen. Look, every player that gets linked to Man United suddenly gets called a bad football player. So if you're a United fan, expect to see it. Samuel Ingram says Manchester United should sell Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, and Marcus Rashford so they can compete with Liverpool and Man City. I understand that notion. I very much doubt that all 3 of those players will be sold this summer just due to how many other individuals are leaving. But I think those players get 1 season. I think those players get 1 season under Ten Hag to show they are good enough for him, for what he wants to do. And if they're not, then I think they could be moved on with some pace. I really do. Arsenal are screwed when a free shot at Tielemans turns them down. Then he will trickle down to Jesus and Rafinha looking for alternatives, is what Wizards got to say. I don't quite get what you mean there, my friend. Antony will add a different quality than Rashford and Elanga, who are direct goals. Listen, and Elanga said himself he wants to play on the left-hand side. Like, everyone wants to go on the left. And that's where something's got to give. Man United have got to get more balance in that attack, and it still hasn't happened like it should. Why do people have a problem with Shaw and Bailly? Shaw's injury-prone and had 1 good season in like a decade, and Bailly's always injured and had 1 good season since he's been at Manchester United. That's the kind of problem, really, I think people have overarching. United need holding defenders, holding midfielders and defenders. Well, that's how Frenkie de Jong is going to be utilised in this Manchester United team. He's going to be a holding midfield play. He's going to be Michael Carrick-esque. That's the plan. That's the process. That's exactly what Manchester United are looking to go and do with that deal. Ten Hag needs one player each at every position as leaders to set his style of gameplay. It's time Maguire and Bruno pass the torch to Ten Hag signings to lead the way. Well, that'll be for Ten Hag to decide, won't it? And if he decides to do it, then happy days. If that's his decision, then we get behind it and we support the team and them trying to get back to where we want them to be. Do you think the rumors are true that United officials are going to Amsterdam to seal the deal? Now, listen, it's a very hard rumor to believe in. And the reason I say that is because the rumor comes, of course, from Neil Custis from The Sun. And people don't want to believe the Sun newspaper. For right or wrong reasons, people don't want to believe it. When it comes to transfer rumors, I keep an open mind because he is connected to the football club. He knows people at the football club. So for him to be given this information would not be a surprise. Has he got things? I always remember when Custis went in on United going to try and sign Neymar, and he was being laughed at, ridiculed, bantered, called all sorts. And then after we signed Martial, the season went on, Neymar did an interview, basically spoke about how close or how hard Man United were working on him, on trying to sign him. And it was like, well, the Custis story was completely true. So I'm not going to, the newspaper I've got issues with overall as a newspaper, but as a transfer story, I'm going to remain open-minded about it. If the report that's out there, let's see what happens. It's certainly a player that United hold in high regard. I think Fabrizio only yesterday said that United are talking about him. They are looking at him. They want to buy him. He's kind of alluded to them focusing on Frenkie de Jong first. But maybe they feel that Frenkie de Jong, the bid's going to be accepted. This is the point. Maybe they're going to submit the official bid for Frenkie de Jong in a day or so. But they've been told by the intermediaries doing the negotiations on their behalf, yeah, this bid will probably work. So now they can focus elsewhere. Often news is 2 or 3 days old by the time it gets out to the public domain. So who knows what's transgressed and moved around. But I remain open-minded about it is what I'm going to say. Will de Jong be enough as a DM for United? His weaknesses are tackles and also loss of possession in high-pressured situations. Well, we will see. I mean, he'll be playing a different... If he's playing... He didn't have those issues... when playing, he doesn't have those issues in the Netherlands team or when he played for Ajax, only when he's in a different role playing for Barcelona. So let's see. I'm putting my faith in what Erik Ten Hag wants to do, at least in the short term. Anyway, young Tommy's here. He's an Arsenal fan. Antony to Manchester United. What you saying, my friend?
I think it'll be a good signing for you. I don't really know much about him, but I think a lot of people said he's quality. But I think it'll be a good signing for you because I think you need another winger anyway, and you need more goals as well from the wing, and the other player Eriksen will be a good signing for you. I like Eriksen. He's such a baller. Even though he plays for Tottenham these lot anyway in the past, but Eriksen will be a good signing for you, and he'll give Bruno competition as well. Like Bruno needs to watch himself because Eriksen will take his place next season, and I think he will. He'll give him competition as well. And Eriksen for me is way better than Bruno as well, but he'll give him competition. So yeah, if you get three to six players, I think you will have a good season. I think you improve your performances. I think you will have a good season with Ten Hag. And one more thing, what formation is he going to play? Is he going to play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1?
4-3-3 has been discussed, but listen, 4-3-3s and 4-2-3-1s are not overly different formations. People act like they're like complete like opposites of each other. They're nowhere near the same. They're first cousins, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Depends on the phase of play. You know, it just depends. You know, even 4-2-3-1s. If you're playing against a defensive team, you'll often have the guy playing attacking midfield, number 10 will push on forward, and one of the pivot will push on forward. If someone from the double pivot and the number 10 push forward, the wingers push forward and cut inside, and the fullbacks push forward. It's a 4-3-3. they're almost the same formation. Formations are more important when you're out of possession and you're in a resolute shape trying to defend than they are when you attack because they're quite fluid. You know, this isn't.
Yeah, I understand.
People assess it like Football Manager, where they look at it as like the team moves around in a particular shape and it doesn't change, and it'll be quite fluid in my opinion, Tommy. It will.
And one more thing, Yeah, I think you guys will. I think you guys are going to have a good season with 10. If you start well, if you start well, I think you guys can have a good season and win a trophy as well. Because you guys haven't won anything since 2017. So I think you can win an FA Cup, a Carabao Cup, Europa League. So if Ten Hag wins like 3 trophies and you guys get 4th, then you guys will have a good season with him. I think you guys will win a trophy. You know, I have a feeling you guys will win something with Ten Hag.
Hope so. Hope so. I hope we do. I hope you're right.
And you know what? And we've got you. And I'm looking forward to playing you on the 3rd of September because I might go to the game like with my dad and my sister. Hopefully, I can go to Man United away, so I can obviously go to the game. So hopefully, I'm looking forward to playing you on the 3rd of September. So yeah, bring it on.
Sweet. All right, young Tommy, you take care, my friend. We'll speak again soon. Top man, thank you.
Okay.
A lot of people in the comments here are saying like Frenkie de Jong doesn't lose possession in high pressure situations. It's interesting because that's what I'm seeing labeled. I think people are capping about Frenkie de Jong and how supposedly bad he is as a football player. And I think Barca are making a big mistake. Terry, you are dreaming if you think Manchester United will even buy 4 players. You don't think Man United will sign 4 players? Let's have a little bet then, my friend. Let's have a little £100 charity bet. I guarantee we sign at least 4 players this summer. I guarantee we sign at least 4 players this summer. At least 4 will come in. Either loans or permanent signings, as I said. At least 4 will come into Manchester United, in my view. It's straight cap. But listen, this happens all the time. It's what happens all the time. Please hit that like button for us this morning, people. Make sure you're subscribing to The Terrace as well. Really important that you do that. Terry, it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. Very true. Very, very true. It's a great quote, that. It's a great quote. It's a great, great quote. Terry, do you think that United should rebuild and refresh Old Trafford before the season? They can't rebuild, start. They can't do any. None of the refurbs can happen now. Man United won't do much to Old Trafford until they get an investor to pay for it, or they get a loan and a stadium sponsor to pay for it. The Glazers will not pump their own money into it, and the club doesn't have enough of its own money to do it. If that makes sense, there isn't enough money there. United don't make the profits to take out £1 billion. They'd have to get another big loan out, and they've already got a big mortgage, essentially a big loan and big interest payments. So yeah, nothing's going to happen. Terry, why are you not showing us your hair? You'll see the hair when I'm ready to show it, my friend. It's looking very, very good. I shared a picture on my socials. If you're one of our members, all of our legends and super fans have seen it in the legends and super fans chat. So yeah, like it's there. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for it to be how I want it to be. Apparently, Arsenal are doing refurbishments at the Emirates, but haven't heard anything. Refurbishments in terms of like fixing a leaky pipe or putting in some new seats and some new paint. Yeah, maybe they will. But like Man United Stadium needs like an overhaul. That's not happening in the next 7 weeks, in my opinion. Yeah, Josh Smith has seen the hair. See, there we go. They know it looks good. There we go. There we go. Let's have a look at some more of these comments here. He's one of the best dribblers in the world, and Barca ain't making a mistake. He doesn't suit them. What I mean is this. I mean, maybe it's a style. I just don't think they utilize him right. I think they will regret it in the future. But equally, like, regretting a player leaving is a hard one. Because, like, sometimes Chelsea fans look at KDB and Mo Salah and think, you know, what could have been. But there is no guarantee that if those players stayed at Chelsea, they would have become the players they are now. Like, there's no guarantee that would have happened. And I think that's what, you know, that's why hindsight's lucrative, but it's not factual. You know, life doesn't actually work the way in which we expect it to. Oh, if I wouldn't have done this, this wouldn't have happened. Who knows? Who knows the way the world would have gone if you could go back and retrace your steps, you know? But I think De Jong will be a very good signing for Manchester United. I really do. Terry, apparently there's going to be some huge news at Tottenham at 10:30. Well, I'm interested to see. Next on the show, Liverpool fan Ads is here. What you saying, my friend?
Yo, Terry, long time, man. How you been, my guy?
Yeah, I'm good, my friend. What do you want to say?
Yeah, so you know what? I want to just talk about what I'm seeing in this transfer window, and also United, of course, as well. First of all, the Antony signing, I think, like most people in our league, not many people have watched him, but the clips we've seen here and there, we can see, he would be someone that will add more value to United. So I think if you look to get that over the line, 100%, that's good business. I think anyone Ten Hag is going for at the moment, from a United perspective, it just makes sense because if anything, it seems like he's trying to build an image, a style of play. And if he needs those particular players to make that happen, he's just got to get the backing from the club and he's sort of the fan base. Because if you look prior to that with Ole, I won't count Ralph, with Ole, he didn't really know what direction he was doing. He didn't really have a style of play. With Ten Hag, there is a style of play. You just need to get the players in particular to make it work. So I'm actually curious if he gets Eriksen and Antony. I think that could be something that could potentially help you guys moving forward. But just to quickly talk on what I've been seeing this summer transfer window, it's quite interesting because it's still super early. But it seems like rival fans, not just only rival fans, actually people within our own fan bases, it seems like they always think of the worst case scenario. So, for instance, like United is a great example. It's almost like they're talking about you guys not being able to get the Timber deal done and, you know, taking so long to get the Frenkie de Jong business over the thing. But that's just transfer. That's just how normal business normally works. Even with Liverpool, I've heard people say about the Darwin Núñez, Mane's gone, we're going to struggle massively. And we're like, but Man City, on the other hand as well, have just brought in Haaland. By the way, terrific player, but we don't know how he's going to integrate into their team. If they lose Raheem Sterling and potentially maybe Bernardo Silva, that is a different Man City team to the way Pep normally plays. And I'm not saying Pep won't challenge. We know he will, but everyone's going to go through changes. The difference is, I think, with rival fans and even fans within their own fan base, I think people are just being a bit too extreme. And it's so early in the window, which is a bit strange about this window that I've noticed.
Yeah, like people have been really, really sort of like downbeat and kind of negative this window. And I don't know where it's I don't quite know where it's coming from. I get with Man United fans, there's sort of PTSD, what's gone wrong in the past, problems from the past. I get all of that and I understand it. I understand from a Liverpool point of view, you're looking at, it's contextual, okay? So Liverpool's issue is you're still going to be a top 4 team next year, without a doubt. If you don't bring in that midfield, if you stop the transfer window now, with what City are looking to do, will you beat them to win the league? A lot of Liverpool fans think no because of the window. So I don't think the panic is the same as what United fans are going through as an example. But it's kind of, you know, Chelsea fans have got to realize. So I was told something last night by a Chelsea fan, and I haven't gone with this news because he's waiting for clarity. But I was told this, sorry, not by a Chelsea fan, someone who I know that works at Chelsea Football Club, sent me this last night. He says, just want to let you know, apparently Bowley and Marina fell out, hence why she's leaving. Her leaving was never part of the actual plan. I'm about 90% sure, but I want to get things clarified sort of tomorrow. So that's just, again, someone who works in and around Chelsea's hearing. So for Chelsea fans, if this is then true, that your director of football and your new owners have had a big fight and she decided to leave, that's why things have been delayed in the transfer window. Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't mean you should be happy about it, but there's nearly always logic to what's going on, and people need to just kind of chill. Liverpool, do I think they're done in the window? I don't know. Liverpool keep their cards so close to their chest. Would I not be surprised? Would I be surprised if in 3 weeks' time you sign a top quality midfield player that you've been working on this whole time, but you keep it quiet, you shut it down, you say nothing's happening? Does that make sense? Like, I just think fans have got to be a little bit more relaxed.
I agree, Terry.
You know? And Arsenal are a great example. This time last week, they were fuming, angry, annoyed, kicking off. And then they signed a player and were heavily linked to 2 or 3 more in the space of 3 or 4 days, and they're all buzzing. Interestingly, now, Jesus ain't been announced yet. We're talking about pulling away from Yuri Tillemans. Oh, Chelsea and Spurs might come in for Rafinha. And now suddenly the panic's setting in again. It's like,
no, it's strange, honestly.
I love it, to be honest, but it's like, honestly, the emotions people go through are crazy.
No, I'm with you. I think with the Liverpool one, for me, I think there's a middle ground. So for me, I think we need to get a midfielder. It's mandatory. This summer window, we need to get a midfielder. I'm not sure why people rather wait to the whole June thing, because we don't know even if he chooses us or not. But at the same time, when I look around the window and I look at all the other teams, and I know City's the guy we're challenging and most of their business looks like it's wrapped up, there's a lot of people that need to do a lot of business. It's still early in the window. So I'm just a bit surprised where the panic comes from. I get it from United. I get it from Chelsea, because those are the two teams, in my opinion, that with United, you're starting with a new manager. It's a new style. You need to start building from there. So I get the panic from that side. I get it with Chelsea as well. New ownership. It's a new direction. I get it. But when I look at, and I hate to call out my own fan base, when I look at my fan base, I just don't get where the panic is massively coming from. Yes, we need a midfielder, but it's still early in the window. And I do believe, and I don't know if you remember, Terry, because I was here last year when Henderson signed that deal on the final day, and frustrated as hell. But I said we'll still challenge. I think if we don't get the midfielder situation sorted, we will have big problems. But at the same time, I don't think it's worth throwing our toys out the pram this early. I think we'll get that midfield situation addressed this window. If not, then the case can go from there.
I hear you. Ads, thanks for coming on, mate, and having your say. Top man. We'll speak again soon. Thank you very much, my guy. Tom Little's here. What are you saying, mate?
Your transfer window was really confusing me. Like, I get the basis of what you're trying to do. But at the same time, like, the Raum move that's come out in the past day, I don't think you need a left back as much as you need a right back. So I don't know why. I think you've got bigger priority areas to focus on. Like, Antony would be a fantastic addition to your attack, and you need a right winger. Obviously, the idea was bringing Sancho in last year. He'll play his part on the right, Rashford on the left. And then that didn't work out. Sancho ended up playing the majority on the left and found his spot there. So we can assume Sancho will stay out there this season. So that's where Antony comes in. Martinez makes sense. You need a centre-back. Is he the right type? I don't know. I really don't. I haven't watched him enough to say. But Erik Ten Hag obviously likes these Ajax or former Ajax players. It's a big sign of the style of football he wants to play. Jong, you've been working on that for ages, so that's a guaranteed. But the Raum move just confused me a bit. You've got Luke Shaw and Tellers who they're not great. They're not exactly fantastic. They do need to be replaced, but they're better than Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot, and a lot better than Wan-Bissaka and Diogo Dalot.
Yeah, like I the David Raum deal. I'm a bit like you. I'm sort of like, I don't get it. Is in there are other areas, but equally this could just be a situation of, well, it's something we're looking at depending on what else happens elsewhere. You know, I think one of the things, like a bit like with Antony, we weren't focusing on a player in his position when we were going after Darwin. We didn't get it. It's like, well, we don't have another number 9 that's a priority, like a top signing for us. So we'll move on to a different area. Maybe the right back Man United want isn't available this summer. So like, well, we can get the left back that's one of our top priorities now ahead of time and go for the right back next. I don't know. Maybe that's the approach. That's the only thing that makes logical sense. But in terms of most of the players we're looking at, the De Jongs, the Eriksons, the Antonys, these players for me are, they all make sense if you get where I'm coming from. And I think if we sign those 3 and a couple of defenders, I'm quite excited about the new season. Do I think we're fixed? Do I think every hole has been addressed? No. Did I expect us to fill all those holes in one summer? No. A lot of Man United fans set that out early on. We've got to fix all our problems in one summer. No, you're just saying that so you can spend the whole season moaning, because without, again, these people only grow sitting shit. Do you know what I mean? They can only sit in negativity. But yeah, I hope this Antony deal happens because he's exciting. There's a lot of skill about him, and I actually think United do need. The more I think about it and reflect, I think we actually need this injection of people that know Ten Hag, because our club is for instance, when Klopp came in after Brendan Rodgers had a pretty good time. Does that make sense? You guys weren't on your arse. He was struggling, but the team had been in a good space for a few years. But when Brendan Rodgers came in, and by the way, I hope Ten Hag ends up being more successful than Rodgers. But Brendan Rodgers brought in players that he'd had before, i.e., did he bring Joe Allen in?
Joe Allen, yeah.
Example, he brought in a few people that knew him and knew his style and system. Why? Because he came after the Hodgson and the end, the Dalglish and the Hodgson era, which only just came after the Hicks and Gillette stuff. It was almost, the feeling around Liverpool was very, very different, if that makes sense. Because obviously Dalglish came in after Hodgson and steadied the ship, but that started to crumble quite quickly as well, if that made sense. But you guys still had a team that didn't you win a trophy under Dalglish?
Yeah, the
Carabao
Carling
Cup.
Cup.
So you
Whatever it's called.
still were a team that was capable of winning trophies, and you were in and around top 4 positions. Really, like you were there or thereabouts. You weren't a million miles away from that kind of level. Man United are in such doldrums right now. I think what he needs are 2 or 3 players who know respect and will day one in training are going to be busting the gut running, because that sets the precedent for everybody else. And I just think he needs that, especially as there's so many holes in this squad that not so many holes, especially because there's a number of holes in this squad that won't all be addressed in one summer. But can he get a good season out of Luke Shaw? Can he get a good season out of Fred? Can he get a good season out of Marcus Rashford? Probably. Would he get those? Would he get all those players to be brilliant 4, 5, 6 years on the bounce? No. Same Jurgen Klopp and Pep are 2 of the best managers in the world. They couldn't do that with the players they inherited. That's why they're not there anymore. They had to move them on. In the short term, you guys were better under Klopp than you were under Brendan Rodgers. You got to finals. You played better football with those same individuals because the system and the training helped. Over time, you need to level that out with better quality signings. Exactly. So I'm kind of relaxed. The only one I agree with, though, the David Raum deal, it's a little bit like, probably get away with not buying a left back, but yeah.
The Raum deal, like, from looking at what you've been linked with so far, it looks like a positive thing for United because these look like Erik Ten Hag signings. They're not too... We had it with Rodgers, and I think there's a big, big worry that Chelsea could have it under Todd Bowley or whatever his name is, where the owner and the manager don't agree, so they clash. You need to agree on your transfer targets. What it looks like there, the Jong, there was hardly any, if any, links before Ten Hag. Martinez, hardly any. There was Antony links, but he was linked with half of everyone around Europe. So I'm not surprised that they've only strengthened now Ten Hag's come in. Raum, just write him off. If you're going for your manager's targets, that is a big sign of improvement because it actually shows you're putting faith in the manager. The first window under Ten Hag, you have to trust him. If you want to, in a couple of years' time, I don't think you ever should, but if the club want to sign a player that isn't necessarily high on Ten Hag's list, as long as he's got a squad that he has built, do it. Because what you've got at United now is you've got a squad made up of 5 different managers, basically.
Yes.
Who've all tried to implement their own styles, their own tactics, but they never got the chance to fully because they were never bought the players that they wanted. And you can see with everyone, the most memorable one was Mourinho. I had a list of 5 centre-backs and I got none of them. Like, this is, if this is the changing point, if last season was a wake-up call for United and they realise when we get a world-class manager, we might want to trust his transfer targets. Let's go for it.
And as Richard Arnold said the other day, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on him to deliver, the bankers, the money men, the board members are no longer involved in the negotiation processes, picking the players, overriding. It's on the football people. Now, of course, they've got to get sign-off from the club to spend the money, but they're not picking the players. You've got to remember, Woodward said no to De Ligt, cheap and young, because we got Phil Jones. Why do we need De Ligt? The man didn't know ball. There's some news here that Judy Sports has put in saying that Jamie Jackson from The Guardian confirmed on Sky Sports News that Ten Hag could have up to 200 million to spend this summer. I haven't seen the clip. The clip will probably say depending on sales, and it's exactly what a certain man called Tapin Terry has been saying this whole time. Anyone who believed there was only going to be 120 million pounds to spend this summer, deluding themselves. Just deluding themselves. It was again.
United always go big under a new manager. Solskjaer got 150 million. Mourinho got, how much did he get? Like 150. Right before the Neymar sale.
There's more money now because the new US TV deal's coming in, which is about 20 or 30 million pounds more for clubs. They'll do it, but they may do it. It depends on who leaves as well. Tom, thanks for coming on, mate. I know there's more people backstage. I haven't got time for any more calls today, but please smash that like button before you leave. Straight Facts this afternoon. We've got some more transfer updates. So Straight Facts will be a big one today, mainly going in and talking about the Arsenal deals in relation to that around 4:30. So come back and join it. Even if you're a rival, what we do need a bit more on the terrace is you guys turning up for the streams not related to your clubs. We do great numbers on every stream, but it's literally predominantly fans of that club. Try and come to the rival streams as well, please, and support the terrace. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.